the headline stories for the weekend. And with me right now is the Daily Graphic Weekend Special. Front page story, big story, uncertain future for National Theatre. Okreku Mante blames frequent Chinese envoy changes. Interesting. And I mean, we'll bring viewers excerpts of that story. But also on the front page, foreign homosexuality laws not applicable to Ghana. This is from the Supreme Court. And on the back page of the Daily Graphic spread, Paris Olympics Dr. Ayete unsung hero behind all athlete safety. So that is the stories on the Daily Graphic Weekend Special. The Mirror, interesting front page story. Prices of Jakpa clothes increase at Katamanto. I'm not sure what is a
Jakpa clothes.
Jakpa clothes. So when the clothes are doing the Jakpa from the overseas here.
I think what they're talking about the winter jackets and the coats the autumn
but
those
headline.
are the things that they're probably referring to.
Yeah,
but we'll
so
get into that.
prices of Jakpa clothes increase at Katamanto. Also here, born with a challenge and a will, Bridget Redua strives for excellence in fashion design. I mean, a person with disability, but clearly doing amazing for herself. An interesting personality profiling of Bridget Redua. And cancer patients unable to follow up on referral due to lack of funds. I'm sure this is a story you're quite familiar with, Eno. Cancer patients unable to follow up on referral due to lack of funds. Story on page 14 of the Mirror newspaper.
All right, so The Spectator, your weekend companion, front page, Gamashi celebrates Homowo, and there's a picture of the Gamancha King Takiteko Shri II sprinkling pokpoi. Is that how they pronounce it?
Yeah,
Pokpoi.
Yeah,
have you tasted?
No, I haven't.
You've never?
No.
I have never. I want to know what it tastes like.
Yeah.
And other stories on the front page, Sikaman Palava. Chronic kidney disease surge among youth. That story is on page 3. Check your land title registration. Commercial sexual exploitation. About 100,000 children affected. That's a study that they have done. On the back page, The Spectator Sports. Planned action for Los Angeles 2028. And there are pictures of various athletes. Rosie Abois, saying she would need support for the state to improve her performance ahead of Los Angeles 2028. Yeah, let's get into the papers.
Yeah, so big front page story, Daily Graphic Weekend Special, uncertain future for National Theatre. Okreku Mante, who is the Deputy Minister for Tourism, blames frequent Chinese envoy changes. Interesting story by Delali Sika and Joshua Bediako Kumsin. For a long time, the National Theatre seems to have been deserted, but it's now clear that the problems of the one-time national pride go beyond the walls of the facility. While the exterior and interior amenities deteriorate, officials appear to hinge their salvation on the foreign partner that funded and presented the once iconic facility to the country. A deputy minister for tourism, arts and culture, Mark Okreku Mante, revealed at the Public Accounts Committee of Parliament last Wednesday that several efforts to liaise with the Chinese government to revamp the National Theatre had been affected by the constant change of Chinese ambassadors to Ghana over the years. We keep trying to get support from the Chinese government because they built the facility, but it's been back and forth because they keep changing the ambassadors. Charlie, it's been so many years since the facility was built, and some of the technology have become outmoded. And apart from China, it will be difficult to get them from other countries. The National Theatre was opened on December 30th, 1992, to spearhead the theatre movement in the country. Construction of the facility started on March 8, 1990. Mr. Mante appeared before the committee together with management of the National Theatre. He expressed the belief that since the theatre was constructed by the Chinese government, China had the technical know-how and the right technologies to work on the physical structure of the facility. The story goes on to also talk about how government intends to support. It says, however, a local journalist disagreed with the deputy minister and rather believes that it was due to a lack of political will. It goes on to say it has nothing to do with the Chinese government. It's simply a lack of government will to resolve to fix the theater. I agree. He goes on to say, the story goes on to say the director of the creative arts at the National Commission for Culture, Socrates Safo, also shared in the journalist's position that the facelift will do the industry a lot of good. You see, like, I don't even know where to start from, right? Because we understand that it was built in December 1992. So it's synonymous with our Fourth Republic in terms of the length of how long it's been around for. And all the problems that is wrong with this country, you can see it. You can see it in the National Cathedral. So it's not surprising. Like, it's such an iconic structure, right? And you would have hoped that not even just this government, but successive governments would have put in place the necessary measures to ensure its maintenance. And like every other public space in the country, look at our sports stadium.
Our culture.
Yeah, but the most shocking thing is that we've had a ministry for procurement under this government before.
Yes.
We've had a ministry, works and housing. The tourism ministry, really. How, it's shocking. And for me, I think that to a large extent, I don't agree with the deputy minister when he says that because the Chinese built it, they have the technical know-how or expertise to fix it. It makes nonsense of everything you've stood for as a sovereign state, really. So,
and, until recently, when the staff demonstrated over the broken, like, it was terrible. You'd be sitting inside watching some, and it was so hot and so uncomfortable. And until recently, I think they changed some of the chairs, the stuffing in the chairs, and
you know what was the wildest part for me? So they take out the foamy chairs, right? The very comfortable ones that look like, and they fill it with extra plastic chairs. If you are not lucky,
to make the money now.
Imagine if you are not lucky, and it happens that the AC is working that day, and you are seated close next to it. By the time you leave there, you'll be drenched in water because it's leaking. And for me, it's so unfortunate. I quite recall we used to go to the National Cathedral to go and do all of these children play, Christmas carols.
You've been talking about the cathedral.
National Theatre. and for me, I think it's so unfortunate. And the minister's words, for me, do not hold. It's quite unfortunate for him to suggest that it's only the Chinese that can develop this. No. Why? Is this is this the first time we are seeing a building that has been built by some other people? And then
someone else takes over.
Exactly. So it's just a clear lack of political will. Governments maybe for some reason don't see the need. Some people have said that the Accra International Conference Center is maybe different because there's a specific ministry for that, right? So the Foreign Affairs Ministry is in charge of managing it, and they pay attention to it. Maybe the Tourism Ministry too have a lot of answers to give about the state of the National Cathedral. But if you ask me, 30 years down the line, it's an exact replica of the state of our affairs as a people in terms of managing public spaces, look at right opposite it, the children's park. Look at the current state as well. So it's a maintenance culture problem, really, and that is what it is. Government needs to put its act together.
Right. Let's go to the middle page of The Spectator. Splashed with pictures of the Homoa Festival. Gamashi celebrates Homoa. The chiefs and people of Gamashi staged a colorful procession in Durban to mark this year's Homoa Festival last Saturday. I think we mentioned it here. It attracted visitors from several destinations to celebrate the occasion, which is climaxed by the sprinkling of the traditional popoi by the chiefs. Homoa translates as hooting at hunger, and it denotes a season of abundance, for which reason guests were received from all corners to partake in the festival, mostly clad in red. The procession passes through the various streets in the Gamashi area with the youth, especially in a frenzy. The traditional cornmeal was sprinkled by the Ga Manche King Takite Koshru, Bese Manche Ni Aibonte II, and other respected chiefs of the area. And there are various pictures of the women preparing the pokpoi and King Takite Koshru sprinkling it, and with other chiefs. It's interesting.
Yeah.
I need to actually, I want to taste.
The
pokpoi.
Why do you want to eat food meant for the gods?
Oh, but a toy is also meant for the gods, but we eat it. Or it's not the same.
I don't know. I'm told it's not meant for the gods, but Maybe someone should. We need to get someone on set to explain
Yeah,
to us
explain
the history and the tradition
and
behind
years
it.
of sprinkling.
But it was really rich Ga culture. Last week, I mean, I saw
display,
videos
huh?
of it here, and you know the funny thing, there was this video of a journalist trying to do like a report, right? Tell the story of what was happening, and you know that gun, the
Oh,
fire,
yeah, I saw a picture of that.
yeah, so like the fire the gun, then the journalist was trying to maintain composure, but clearly no, Charlie.
But honestly, if they're firing that musket, because I don't know if you saw a picture of. So they fired the musket and you could see the fire from the musket. And it was trending on social media. One of the photojournalists took a picture of that. That was amazing.
But yeah, we've got to commend the Ghana state for an amazing celebration of culture. It's important that we have to preserve our tradition, right? And we saw them do that so excellently well. And we hope to see, I think some other people are still celebrating.
Yes.
Some different communities. I was driving through Bubwashi. I saw that some other groups were also still celebrating the Homo. So maybe next time we have to be more involved. You know, you have to go and spread the
Go to Gamanche and ask to eat some of the popoy. I'm very interested in what it tastes like.
Yeah, now you are awakening my interest in my
last
taste
week I was
buds.
cooking for you. Today is popoy. I want to taste it. Other stories in The Spectator, and this is a bit worrying. Chronic kidney disease surge among youth, and I'm very interested in this story because I have been following up on, renal patients and their plights at the Kolebu Teaching Hospital. So a bit of the story reads that 70% of people with chronic kidney disease cases in Ghana are between the ages of 20 to 50 years. A physician specialist at the Kolebu Teaching Hospital, Dr. Mensah Amwa, has disclosed this he attributed to uncontrolled hypertension and seconded by CKD of uncertain causes. He also mentioned that abusing drugs such as ibuprofen, diclofenac, herbal medicines could cause the disease. He also said underlying health conditions such as urologic disease, diabetes, high blood pressure, and glomerulonephritis could put one at risk of having chronic kidney disease. I have been there. I've seen a child as young as 8 years.
At the renal center,
yeah,
right? The renal treatment center.
with kidney disease, and you wonder, now 8 years you're okay.
Some are even born with it.
Yeah, some are born with it, and it's becoming a norm, and it shouldn't be so.
Yeah.
So anytime I go and I come back to the newsroom, like go for health checkups or drink water, because it's necessary to take care of your health. You know, Ghanaians, we won't walk up to a health facility and say, I'm here for a health checkup. We wait till you're not feeling well, you're not feeling good, then you go, and then if you go and it's too late, then, because it doesn't even give you any warnings, mostly. It's just headache, and then you go and drink para or ibuprofen, and that's abusing it. Yeah, wow. So let's take our health seriously, guys.
We need to intensify public education, right? I think in the past couple of weeks and months, when this whole renal treatment dialysis issue became topical, it's brought it to the fore. But we need to consciously remind people about the effects and how they can keep themselves safe. But talking about one really sad story onto another, because cancer patients are unable to follow up on referral due to lack of funds. And this story is by Gilbert Mauli Agbe in Sandema. He's the clinical coordinator at the Sandema Hospital in the Upper East region. Dr. Paul Edem Kadmil has expressed concern about a trend where patients with symptoms of cancer are referred to the Bolgatanga or Tambali teaching hospitals, but do not go, putting their lives at risk. He explained that due to the lack of an oncology unit, patients were always referred to the two hospitals, but did not follow up on the referral due to a lack of funds. Dr. Kadmil disclosed this on Thursday when the Chief Executive Officer of the Unlimited Cancer Care International, based in the U.S., visited the hospital as part of its campaign to raise awareness of the disease. Dr. Kamel said due to the refusal to seek medical care from a higher medical facility, such patients suffer from further complications which worsen their condition. So and you can understand them, right? Because why they don't even, it's not as if they are trying to run away from it, but they don't have the financial means to even go there in the first place. And it brings to the fore conversations about the National Health Insurance Scheme, some of the disease that he admits on board in terms of what you can use the card to seek medical help for. And I think that we need to start paying attention to Dr. Costa Abuaji, who is the CEO of the scheme. I think it has done quite well in recent times. I mean, especially with this whole renal patient issue, right? He's been at the forefront trying to get government to still subsidize the cost of renal or dialysis treatment. But I think it's about time we need to pay attention to other forms of illnesses that are not captured.
The funny thing, we ask people, so do you have a national health? Oh, that's a national health there.
Yeah, it's because they go to the hospital
and it doesn't work.
It doesn't
for
really
most
work for
of the
them,
drugs.
right?
Yeah.
So and for very serious diseases or ailments like cancer and co, it's about time we began conversations on the need for the NHIS or the scheme to start looking at or adopting some of these, and will go a long way. Because if you have been referred to an oncology unit and you are still at home, your chances of survival gets slimmer by the day. And this is human capital we are talking about, right? So it's unfortunate. It's really sad that people have to go through this. Just sad.
Just that.
Just sad.
Yeah, from another sad story to another one. About 100,000 children are affected by commercial sexual exploitation, and the statistics are quite worrying. So it's saying about 100,000 children in Ghana are sexually abused and exploited mainly for profit. And that's a study done by the Ministry of Gender, Children and Social Protection. It has revealed the number falls short of the global figure of 4.8 million people who are exploited, with women and children in the majority, while 30% of all victims are from Africa. Now, the culprits behind this exploitation keep the business flourishing, with the children charging between 3 cedis and 2,000 Ghana cedis, depending on how well they negotiate. And the story goes on and on and on. I can't even finish the story, but so she identified pressure from family members for children to bring money, illiteracy, school dropout, ignorance, domestic violence, broken homes, insecurity, globalization, internet access, and improper use of technology, as well as weak border control, were factors that have contributed to this child sexual exploitation. This is sad. I think one of my very first stories when I joined ChannelOne and City was streetism. And I spoke to some of these children on the streets, and most of them were like, oh, so they did something wrong at home, and to avoid being beaten, they ran away, and then they ended up on the streets. And I'm like, wait, so it's not that your parents have passed away? He's like, no, his parents are alive, but because someone told him that and now he's living on the streets. And I'm like, but your parents are worried about you. It's like, yeah, they'll be fine.
We need to preach more the story of the prodigal son, right? so people can go back to their... Anyway, the prices of Jackpa, just before we go, prices of Jackpa clothes to increase at Kantamanto. And you're right about it being weather and winter jackets and all of that. But my point is, if you are traveling out of the country, why you buy a winter jacket here and send it?
So, our mindset, we're preparing for every aspect. Why else would we take Gary to the US? Because, you're making sure that you have everything in place to tackle the weather. It's even summer now, but
if you are taking...
maybe for the first couple of months that you go, you might not have enough money to buy... to buy your own winter jacket. Wow. So you have to go prepared. So, yeah.
Very brief excerpts of the story says that prices of clothing used in cold climates continue to increase at the Katamanto market in Accra as more people Jackpa, a Nigerian slang that means to escape, flee, or disappear quickly from a situation, has become a popular slang among Ghanaian youth as more people seek greener pastures abroad. Gloves, boots, sweaters, and winter jackets are on high demand, and vendors, particularly with first selection goods, are cashing in. In past weeks, the reporter has monitored the patronage of these clothes in Katamanto, the country's biggest second-hand clothing market. The market has, over the years, been known as a hub of good second-hand clothing deals, attracting patronage from people all over the country and neighboring countries as well. I mean, this is incredible. I don't see the wisdom in buying
jackpot clothes.
buying jackpot clothes, and of course there are people who are not traveling who are also buying them. Why would you want to buy? But to be fair, the weather has
you've been to
cool.
our MCR. It's cold. I think recently I put on social media that hey, Ghana, for the weather has given you the chance to wear all sorts of things. So maybe that's also a reason
wearing
why.
A winter jacket here, there, some way. Yes,
It's
sweater,
cold.
hoodie. But Charlie, the one with the fur and everything. Why, Charlie?
It's cold.
Don't
You may
do
not
this.
be as cold as somebody. So yeah, let them enjoy the time. We are in winter in Ghana, if you didn't know. I'm telling you.
No, at the point, Ghana was actually cooler than a lot of these European countries. So during the Olympics, for example, I mean, I read that Paris, like the top cities in Europe, or some cities in Europe, Paris, Milan, even London, and the likes, Spain, Madrid, Barcelona, they were all actually hotter than it was in Accra. Some were doing 38, 37, whereas we were 26, 27, 25. So
Yeah, and even
that was quite interesting.
Yeah, so maybe that's what accounted
So
for the
maybe, I don't know,
jackpot clothes.
there's also climate change. Maybe another time we have to have a conversation about how climate change is also impacting, I mean, weather and atmospheric conditions. Maybe
Yeah.
that's a conversation
That's
for
a
another day.
conversation that we should have.
Hopefully.
Well, so that's it for the newspaper review.